Regular listeners know that I'm a big fan of mountain biking at night, and having a reliable bright light is crucial. Glowworm is a mountain bike light brand founded almost a decade ago by two mountain bikers in New Zealand, and today the company offers some of the most customizable, highest quality bike lights on the market. Glowworm's complete line of lights start at 1200 lumens and range up to a blinding 3400 lumens, all at reasonable prices. There are a few things Glowworm does differently that makes their lights unique and highly customizable. The optics can be swapped at home depending on the types of trails you ride, and their lights use standard GoPro style and quarter-turn mounts. Many of the lights work with a bar-mounted remote, which can be used to control one or more lights at once. Right now, Glowworm is offering 20% off all light systems on their website with the coupon code SingleTracks19. Go to glowwormlights.co.nz, that's G-L-O worm, L-I-T-E-S.co.nz, or click the link in the show notes to take advantage of this offer. Hey everybody, welcome to the Single Tracks podcast. My name is Jeff, and today my guest is Rémy Métailler. Rémy is a professional mountain bike racer who competes in both downhill and freeride competitions around the world. He also posts skills videos and ride reports regularly on his popular YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us, Rémy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So you got interested in mountain biking and downhill racing specifically at a really young age. How important has that been to your development as a professional mountain biker?
Well, basically growing up, so I'm born in 1990, and the sport of downhill around 93, 94, 95 was getting really big in the south of France, mainly because we had Nicolas Vouilleuse, Loïc Bruni's dad, so Jean-Pierre Bruni, Fabien Barrel, and a bunch of other really fast guys that were from basically where I'm from, like just a few kilometers away. And so the sport was going on TV. It was on the newspaper because obviously at the time, Nicolas Vouilleuse in 95 was already, I think, 5-time world champion.
Wow, yeah.
So he was kind of like, the local legend. And so obviously I'd see the sport on TV, and I've always wanted to do it. The Rock d'Azur, which is, basically a mini Eurobike, was close by my place. So I was going every year.
Oh, yeah.
And I could see, the bikes. And so, yeah, I've always wanted to do it. That being said, I haven't been able to properly mountain bike before I was 16 years old.
Oh, okay.
Because, obviously it's really expensive.
Right.
And if your parents don't support you when you're under... When you're still a minor, there's no way you can afford a bike.
Right.
So I basically started super late, but in the meantime, I've always wanted to do it. So I've always followed on TV and bought the local magazine. So yeah, I've only started quite late actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was great just to be able to do the same and what my idol were doing. Just going on a bike and doing jumps and stuff was extremely fun. And so, yeah, I've started actually quite late, much later than what people think.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you said you were born in 1990 and that downhill in your region of France was really big in 93 to 95. So that means you were like 4 or 5 years old at the time that you started being interested in it. That seems pretty early.
Yeah, my dad was biking purely for fun. And so, he was into mountain biking, but cross country. Okay. And it was really for fun. He never competed or anything. It was just him and his friend. But at the time, the sport was getting really big and really popular. So it was, kind of that new sport that everyone was trying. And so, yeah, I've seen my dad obviously mountain biking. But what I've always wanted to do was downhill. I think it was basically the go-to sport for me. But yeah, so I've seen that quite young. I guess it was 90. I remember in 96 for my birthday, my mom actually sent a letter, because at the time emails didn't even exist, to Nicolas Vouilleuse and telling him that was for my 6th birthday, so that was 96. And I asked him basically for an autograph, and he sent me back a postal card. Oh, wow. With a picture of him from at the time when he was in when he was riding for GT bikes. So I think that was up to 96, 97. Yeah. And yeah, with a little word and stuff. So yeah, I've always been really passionate about it. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, you said at 16, that's when you really
got to get into the sport, got your first mountain bike?
That's when I got my first proper mountain bike.
Proper mountain bike. That's what I was going to ask. So you had bikes between, when you're 4 years old and 16, just not a proper bike.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So nowadays, do you see yourself as a downhill mountain biker with style, or do you see yourself as a free rider who can go really fast?
That's a good question. I never thought about it. I guess I like to go. I think I'm more like I like to ride efficient more than anything else. I think I'm just like a mountain biker that likes to go fast.
Yeah.
And even though I've never really liked to go that fast. Speed has never been my strength.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to I don't know. I'm just looking at having fun on the bike and just ride efficient and smooth. And the speed where I have the most fun is the speed where I can't crash.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
The speed where I don't take any useless risk.
Yeah. Interesting. So what do you think about the new Red Bull Rampage qualifier, the Proving Grounds? You competed in that this year. How did that go? And what do you think about the new format?
I honestly disagree with the format. I believe Red Bull Rampage should be, it's obviously the top of the sport and it's the top riders. I think the qualifying by videos in the past was good and was fair to everyone.
Yeah.
You didn't have to travel to one single event and you could be creative because at the end of the day, Red Bull Rampage, you just have a mountain and then you can be extremely creative.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do stuff. There's no jumps or no lines that you have to do.
Right.
You are free to do whatever you want. And so in a video, you could do the same. There's no rules. If you can show that you belong at Red Bull Rampage and you can ride a freeride bike, then you earn a spot. Having that qualifier is, it was a good intention from the organizer to kind of open up the sport and give opportunities. But in my opinion, it was not a success. All the guys who got an invite obviously deserved it. No one got an invite and you're like looking at the name and be like,
right.
Well, that's kind of weird.
Right. How did he get in there? Yeah.
All of those guys deserved it, obviously.
Yeah, but it is really different. It's a really different format.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's really different. Like to me, it felt, because I had to ride like a pre-made course, it felt like I was a sprinter. And in order to qualify for the 100 meters at the Olympics, I had to run a marathon.
Right, yeah.
Like I felt like it was a different sport. Like, obviously tricks is a big part of Rampage nowadays. And, I don't have any tricks really.
Mm-hmm.
I can do some, but it's just nowhere near the other guy.
Yeah.
And it's not what I want to be doing anyway. It's not what I enjoy. It's not what I enjoy. So I kind of felt like, it was a bit unfair for some people.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now like the features were very slopestyle. There was nothing technical about it. That being said, it was a ton of fun.
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah, I had a great time riding my bike down there. It was, I'll definitely do it again. I had a great time.
Do you think that'll change the character of the actual event of Red Bull Rampage? Are you going to see more slopestyle type moves and athletes in the event going forward, assuming they stick with the Proving Grounds?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, another one thing is that the builders get better and more efficient every year. So the quality of the building has just improved a lot over the last 4 or 5 years, because the first time I went was in 2015. So right now it's 2019, so 5 years later. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been like the progress has been unreal.
Yeah.
Everyone is getting much better at building as well. Mm-hmm. And because you have a set time,
right?
Before you could not get every landing perfect. Mm-hmm. You could not build every landing perfect, but nowadays everything is basically perfect.
Right.
So that opens more opportunities for rider to just land tricks on every jump.
Right. It's less of sort of a technical competition than it is an acrobatic competition.
Well, yeah, like for a rider like me, that's gonna be good at riding gnarly raw terrain, like supernatural, mm-hmm. Where like braking control is key. Like there's not really any feature or anything that's really that I really see challenging at Rampage. Like obviously everything is exposed, and it's more like doing that line is easy. well, not easy, but, doing that line is accessible. And, I'll do it no problem. But there is a 60-foot cliff at the bottom, which is, then you're like, well, if I was making a mistake and it would be in a bike park, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if I was to make a mistake, that'll go really bad.
Right. Well, you mentioned challenging features, challenging trails. What was the time when you would say you were the most scared on a bike?
Well, I guess Rampage.
Yeah.
I guess Rampage. Yeah. Not because of the feature itself, just because of what's around it. I don't really remember any feature at Rampage that I've done that was like a real challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a jump, obviously, because you don't know until you jumped it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with the experience, and you do like all that process of like risk management, and you go when the wind is good, when the conditions are good, when you feel good on the bike, when everything is set up to be successful at it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to do it. Sometimes you have to rush.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have time, or the light starts to go down, or whatever reason. I guess Rampage was definitely the place where I got the most scared, but it was never really about the feature itself. It's what's around the feature.
Yeah, interesting.
And sometimes it could be the wind.
Yeah.
Like I remember last year standing up on like a little drop I had that was like, I'll do it on my trail bike with an open face helmet and no pads. But because it was windy and just a little bit windy, if I was gonna make a mistake and just lose my balance, I'll get badly hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a tiny bit of wind. I was like so frustrated because normally I would not even hesitate.
Right.
But because it's windy and because there's nothing around, there's no trees to block the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I've done similar lines in Squamish, where there is wind around. So even if it's windy, like it's just never bad because the wind can block.
Yeah.
The trees can block the wind.
Uh-huh.
But at Rampage, there's none of that. And the wind for me has definitely been a huge issue.
Yeah.
Dealing with it, because it's a parameter that you don't control.
Right.
You control the, if the dirt is wet, slightly muddy, you can adapt. You can adapt your riding. But once you in there jumping, like there's little stuff you can do to counterbalance the wind.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's a bit, you don't have enough control on it.
Right.
So
you can be super prepared. You can have practiced. You can, have done all the right things. You're mentally ready. But there's factors like that, like the wind that you can't control. And I could see how that would be really scary.
Yeah, exactly.
So what types of injuries have you dealt with over the years? And do you have sort of tips for recovery that you can share with people?
Like the biggest one I had was I fractured my back in 2016, end of 2016, and I like badly compressed and cracked my T6 vertebra, which is in the middle of the back basically. But I've recovered extremely well from it. I don't feel ever any issue with it.
Wow, that's great.
But I haven't skipped any step. I really did exactly what the surgeon and the doctor told me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been extremely eating super healthy, and I've been going a lot to the gym after.
Yeah.
And I was fit before as well.
What did you think at the time that it happened? I mean, did you know how serious it was, or?
No, as soon as I touched the ground, I knew it was broken. And the pain wasn't that bad. The pain wasn't that bad at all. But I knew I had heard the noise, like I heard basically the vertebra crunched. And so now I've been extremely, like I know obviously how bad it is because it's close by the spinal cord.
Yeah.
So I've been extremely serious with it. It's my biggest fear. So
yeah,
I've been, definitely been extremely careful with that.
Yeah, good. So you've also done a number of urban downhill mountain bike competitions, like the one in Taxco. So how is that different from like a more traditional downhill race?
The track doesn't change as much because obviously it's pavement.
Right.
This one thing you don't control is like the human aspect and the dog aspect on the track.
The dog aspect.
Yeah, and this is really tough. I actually did a race last week, actually, I guess, or a couple of weeks ago in Colombia, and I took the start, and every single lap I've done, I actually posted a video of it with the guy who won, which is Matt Walker. So we did a run together, and I think we've done like 8 laps before finals in total, maybe not like 6, 7. Anyway, we haven't done one single lap without any issue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we always, either a dog, a person, a car. There's always something on track.
A car?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so during finals, during quali, I got a couple of dogs and a person that just crossed in front of me that I almost smashed.
Oh, man.
And during finals, just at the start, like within 5 or 6 seconds while I was sprinting, a dog crossed, and literally a couple of seconds after that, a woman and her kid just like started to walk like really close from the track and didn't see me. And so, yeah, to me, that was it. So I stopped. I basically kept on riding, but I stopped racing because just the risk wasn't worth it. It kind of sucks because I feel really comfortable going fast on that.
Mm-hmm.
But those are stuff that I do not control.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was just like, yeah, it's not worth it. But other than that, it's basically the same than a regular downhill track. You walk the track, you look at the lines, you know where to push, where to take it easy. You manage the risk. Obviously, there's some section where you can, go fast and take risk, and it's worth it. And there is some stuff where it's sketchy, where you would not want to take a risk. Mm-hmm. So you're just gonna ride smooth and precise, and you know where you have to pedal, where you have to rest, and yeah, it's basically the same approach than a downhill course. The only thing you don't have to worry about the weather, mm-hmm. and you don't have to worry about the line changing because
right.
Obviously it's pavement, so
yeah.
It doesn't change much.
What's the energy like there? Is it more exciting than a regular race, just having people so close in on the course and just sort of all the excitement of being in a city?
Yeah, definitely. It's really cool. Like you bring the sport directly to the city, mm-hmm. and there's thousands of people watching it. It's usually more than on a World Cup.
Yeah,
I've seen the World Cup of Léger, which was very crowded, but it's you still get more people usually on your downhill race, especially a race like Valparaiso or Taxo that has been going on for years. People are really used to it, mm-hmm. so that brings a lot of public.
Yeah. Very cool. So you've ridden all over the world and you've lived in Whistler now for several years. But I'm curious, what is your favorite place to ride your mountain bike other than Whistler?
That's a good question. I actually, there's many places where I haven't got to. I went to Ore, which was really good in Sweden. Alfjell was really fun. I definitely want to go back. If I had to go in holidays for bike riding right now, I'll go to Les Portes du Soleil.
Okay.
Because I've only been this year for the first time. And I had to stay in Léger for a bit. And I've only done one day in Morzine and one day in Châtel, which were incredible. So I'm really looking forward to go back.
Yeah, that's surprising that you're French and you haven't ridden those places a lot.
Well, basically, so when I was in France, I have a business and marketing degree. So that took me a lot of time.
Not enough time to ride bikes, huh?
Yeah, and so I was working one day a week in addition of my studies to help make some money. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I was riding very little, and I could choose between, going for a week while I was studying in Les Portes du Soleil and ride with my friends, or I could save some money to come to Whistler.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I looked at the bigger picture and I was like, well, if I, save some money, I can spend a full season in Whistler, get a work visa, and work and ride every single day in Whistler. So it was pretty easy for me to make the decision.
Awesome. Well, speaking of Whistler, in 2013, you set the record for the most days and laps at the Whistler Bike Park. That would be 1,000 laps in 111 days. So what made you decide to do that, and what did it take to actually make that happen?
Oh, I've never tried to set a record or anything. It was just
really you were just riding that year, and
yeah, I was just riding.
Wow,
every single day basically. I don't think I had any day off.
Wow, that's incredible.
While I was in Whistler, because I also rode other places at the time. I went a few days to what did I go? Silver Star. I guess I'd done a day in Squamish and Pemberton, but every single day where I was physically in Whistler, mm-hmm. I've ridden the Whistler Bike Park, I believe.
Wow. Got your money's worth for your pass. What did you learn after doing that? I mean, did you find that your skills really improved by riding the same trails over and over?
Not that much, actually. I was actually, as soon as I got there, I felt like pretty comfortable. Mm-hmm. I had more experience with, the terrain, the dirt, the routes. Obviously, I knew better the lines, and then everything becomes automatic. Mm-hmm. Well, the speed for every jump. Well, it's obviously well built. So you don't even have to think normally. If you flow with the trail, you get the speed right for the jumps anyway. But yeah, obviously I was knowing it's just like when you go on the racetrack and you've done 8 laps down the track and you have analyzed it. Mm-hmm. Every single, basically every single rock and route. And it felt like this with every trail, really. So obviously I was more knowledgeable and I was mostly fast because I knew everything by heart.
Yeah.
But in terms of skill, it's just good to work on your body position and work on, how you should be riding your bike. Think about braking before the corner and your body position, your pedal position, your bike settings. You just get so much knowledge from riding that much that obviously you progress.
Yeah. Which trails did you ride the most?
Probably A-line and dirt marshlands.
Yeah.
And at the time I was riding a lot Slayer. I was riding a lot of tech the first year, actually.
Are there any trails you think that you didn't ride that year, or did you hit them all many, many times?
There's definitely a few trails that I've done, once, twice.
Yeah.
But then I didn't really come back. I kind of changed, in between the years. I remember one year I was doing a lot of tech, and the next year a lot of jumps. Mm-hmm. Kind of depended, what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I remember in 2015 and especially in 2016, I was doing a lot of tech. I guess I was bored of just doing jumps.
Right.
And then, nowadays I do a lot of tech, but on my trail bike.
Oh, interesting.
Not as much on my downhill bike. Kind of keep the downhill bike for jumping. And I actually spend a lot more time now on my trail bike than I do on my downhill bike.
Yeah. So why are you doing that? Is that for fun, or is that you using that for practice?
No, purely for fun. I have more fun riding a trail bike.
Yeah.
Basically, I have more fun. I discover more places. You pedal to the trailhead. I feel I always have a great time on a trail bike, whatever are the conditions. On the downhill bike, you have expectation to ride to a certain speed.
Yeah.
And if the conditions aren't right, if it's wet, if it's slippery, or if the trail is not in good shape, or if the trail is not as interesting as you thought it will be, you kind of I feel like you put your expectation too high with a downhill bike of always going fast.
Right.
Whether with a trail bike because it's more playful. If it's wet, slippery, or if the trail is not what you're expecting it's easier to play around and you have fun differently. You don't need the speed aspect to have fun.
Right.
Which I really like. So sometimes I can ride my trail bike on a kind of a slow trail and, I just ride it much slower than I could, but I play much more with the bike than I do with the downhill bike.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I guess that's the reason why I like it.
Yeah.
And I also like the riding of trail bike more, less suspension, less forgiving, lighter.
Yeah.
So so I do love the trail bike a lot.
Yeah, cool. So how do you actually practice though for free ride competitions like Red Bull Rampage? Is there?
I actually don't.
You don't practice. You just show up?
No. Yeah, the first year I showed up, the second year as well. No, I've never actually done any free ride anywhere else. Really, I had never really done a big drop before. The biggest drop I had done was probably in the bike park.
Wow.
Which would be something like 5 foot.
Yeah.
So no, I've never really done any kind of free ride before. Right now, it's definitely what I'm looking for though. So I'm gonna go back in March or April, and I want to do proper free ride. I ride super raw stuff, and that's really what I enjoy. But before, no, I hadn't practiced anything really.
Wow, that's incredible. So how did you know you could do it?
Well, I've always felt comfortable riding technical stuff and jumps, and so doing a 20-foot jump or even an 80-foot jump is not that much difference as long as you know the speed, which was the hardest part for me. For big jump was to know the speed because I was just not used to do big jumps.
Right.
So it was kind of tough to get the experience and the knowledge of what speed you should be riding at. But on a drop, I've cased that Rampage one jump once and didn't crash. But on a drop, I've never messed up a drop.
Yeah.
Ever,
wow.
I think.
That's amazing.
You can't really, I mean, depending on the drop, you can't really mess up. If you're comfortable with your skill and your technique, depending on the style of drop, especially if it's like if you're going downhill. So if the takeoff is downhill and if you can spot the landing at all time, it's easier to know the speed right. What's hard though is that until you've done it, sometimes it's really, even though if you can imagine the speed, what can be really tough is to commit and do it, because if you're gonna come short or long, it can go really bad, especially at rampage, because every single drop is above 20 foot basically.
Yeah.
So that's where it's challenging.
Right. So you've competed in Red Bull Rampage 3 times now. What's been your proudest moment in the competition?
I guess the first year, because I came with absolutely no expectation. And I was just riding. It was really tough because all the lines were taken. It was at the time where you had 42 people or 40 people who competed in quali. And my line was, all the top part.
Yeah.
Like the first 10 seconds were common to everyone. And then I had my own part for, 15 seconds. And then the bottom part was the same for everyone else. For a lot of guys coming from the Canyon Gap. So yeah, it was definitely like I had no expectation at all, and I just felt extremely comfortable.
Yeah,
like I really felt it was. I've done a lot of laps. I had no stress whatsoever because I was really comfortable doing it, and at the same time I was really disappointing because I was not pushing outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah,
but I felt my line was too easy. I was too comfortable riding it.
Yeah,
and I knew I could have done much gnarlier. The thing though is that you didn't have any space to build something gnarlier. And also I didn't have the experience building something gnarlier. So I could have written something much gnarlier, but I'm not sure at the time I could have built something gnarlier.
Right.
Because I just didn't have the experience.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine being comfortable though. I mean, you say that you felt comfortable. I don't know that any of our listeners can imagine that being comfortable. It seems very, very scary and like you would be very nervous, but yeah, that's cool to hear. So has social media and YouTube specifically changed your approach to the sport over the years?
Well, not really. It's never been a goal of mine to be a professional mountain biker. It just happened, and it's I'm extremely grateful for it. With social media at the time when I started, it was just to basically show my family what I was doing. And it was just, a good way to show people what I was doing as more like, hey, I'm in Whistler and this is my experience, and, hopefully to inspire more people to, like a lot of my friends at the time, to come and do the same. And then when I saw that I could have some kind of impact, I've tried to do it as professional as I could, mostly because at the time I was still trying to look for a job in the bike industry. And in addition of my studies and my professional work experience, I wanted to have on my CV, my personal experience as a mountain biker, just to show that as well as, what I could do in what was written on paper with my study, I could also ride a bike, which I believe is extremely important. If you get a job in the bike industry, it's important to, know that you can properly use the product and
right.
And, have some kind of experience outside of just, walking, because, it's an industry where people go because they like it. Right. So I believe it's important. And so I've tried to have a very professional image, because at the time I was looking for a job basically. And then I've continued because obviously it's, part of the duties of being a professional mountain bike athlete. You have to use social media. Yeah. Because, even if you win races or, are a really good rider, if no one knows about it, right, you have absolutely no value for brands. Yeah. Do your sponsors encourage that, or was this something that you started doing on your own? No, I've started doing it on my own, and it's a requirement. Yeah. You have to. There's no way you could still be, I don't know, you could have a guy tomorrow that win Enduro World Series or, World Cups. And that's not on social media, but his value for brands will be much, much, much smaller. Yeah. Yeah. Do you enjoy doing that part of it?
producing content and marketing and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's what I studied, and I do. But what I enjoy the most is, leaving a positive impact for people. So like doing, educative content or just motivating people to go out and mountain bike and, do something that's good for them is, what I enjoy the most.
Yeah. So yeah, what kind of content do you have on your channel? I know you do some trail reports where you'll go out and ride a trail that people are interested in. You also mentioned skills and personal interview style content. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about your channel.
Yeah, basically right now on on YouTube, what I focus on are trail previews. So basically, it's a way for me to give back a bit to the community and produce informative content for people. Mm-hmm. Whether people are going to ride the trail or not, they can learn from it. So they can learn tips. Obviously, they get good riding, and they get entertainment from just having two people who ride and have fun. But they can also get tips on why I'll do a specific line. About bike settings. I talk about it. Why I like a certain kind of product, why I like a certain kind of tires, mm-hmm. why I picked up a certain line over another line, and just people can get through this video more experience and more knowledge, and then they can apply themselves. They can apply that to their own riding and hopefully learn from it. And then I also provide more specific content about how you set up your bike. And in the future, I will have a lot more videos on my channel in order to provide quality and informative content for people on really specific topic.
Yeah.
It could be like risk management. It could be just about tires. It could be just about suspensions. Yeah, and I basically take the ideas from what people give me.
Yeah, your community of subscribers and people on social media. That's really cool.
Yeah, I read the comments, and
I try to not read the comments on our social media. Sometimes they can be kind of rude.
No, actually, on mine, fortunately, it's really, really positive.
That's great.
I mean, the percentage of dislike is 99%, which I believe is much higher than the average.
Yeah.
Normally, I just try to, whenever someone has constructive comments, I obviously look at it and I try to, I try to use it in order to create better stuff for the future. So it could be someone that say, hey, I really like your video, but I wish you could, maybe explain a little bit more about this subject on your next video. And on the next video, if possible, obviously, it's not always possible. But when possible, I try my best to, satisfy a request. And I believe if someone has a feedback, someone else also must have it and just didn't request it. So,
yeah. How many videos are you able to post every month?
I guess about 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 or 5 trail previews is something I really enjoy doing. And I feel like people really associate me with the idea nowadays. Right now, I have quite a lot of trails I want to be doing. Mm-hmm. The issue I have is the weather.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What are you going to do in the winter?
Well, in the winter, I can do more informative content on stuff that's less riding focused. On the trail preview, because it's basically a POV video. I mean, I can ride if it's wet, mm-hmm. but when it's dark, the GoPro doesn't quite keep up. So it's kind of challenging. But the biggest challenge is if it's raining, I basically get raindrop on the camera and the content is pointless.
Yeah,
I can ride and the speed difference is not, on some trail we just ride the same speed pretty much when it's wet. I've ridden a trail with a friend of mine a couple of days ago, and it was really wet, but basically our speed would have been the same than if it was dry.
Oh, wow.
So it still would be extremely entertaining for people, mm-hmm. but it was quite dark, and if it's raining, there is no way I can provide a quality video. So
right.
Unfortunately, I have to wait that the sun's out. Hopefully next week.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what else do you have planned for the rest of 2019 and for next year?
Well, for the rest of 2019, not much, because we're already end of October.
Right.
So there's 2 months left. There's 2 more urban downhill races, I believe. Hopefully one in Mexico, one in Colombia.
Oh, cool.
I might go to Germany to visit Cube Bicycle and go back to France. If I do go back to France, I might take my bike and get a couple of rides. Other than that, not much. I'm just gonna ride as much as I can before the winter really hits. Hopefully produce more trail previews. I have a few that are already done but not posted. One especially that's I believe really good, and I have 3 more. But the quality of the video is not at the standard I would like, just because it was dark and the video was a bit shaky. And it's definitely one of the comments people had, that the shakiness of the video was an issue. The issue though is that when you ride in British Columbia in the fall, it's really dark and
bumpy. I mean, there's everything is just rocks and roots, and keeping that.
Yes, there are double black trails, and I was riding behind Chris Kovarik, which won a World Cup in 2003, I believe, with a 14. Can't remember if it's 13 or 14 second gap. Which is the biggest margin on a World Cup win. So yeah. Obviously Chris Kovarik is an extremely fast rider, and at the speed we're riding, it's impossible to have like a really smooth feeling. Yeah. I could be riding with a gimbal, which I did on my last video, but if the trail is too hard and too technical, the gimbal gets too much on the way. Mm-hmm. So then I have to slow down. I can't ride at the same speed. So it's been a bit of a challenge, and I have the footage, but just the quality is not as good as I was hoping. So what I'm trying to do is to redo it. But for this, I need a sunny day. It doesn't have to be dry, because it will never be dry at this time of the year. And it's okay if it's wet, but it has to be at least not rainy. And I don't know if that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
But yeah, I'll have plenty more, and I will have also a bunch of really informative content and stuff that people haven't seen before, at least not on my channel. And I don't know if it's been done before by another mountain biker, maybe in another sport. But so yeah, it's gonna be. I really encourage people to have a look, and I'm sure they won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Definitely. And yeah, we're sharing many of your videos on Single Tracks as well, so people can find them there and other media sites as well, I believe.
Yeah. No, it's been really good. The bike, I guess the bike industry has really liked that content, and it's I believe more relatable than the stuff I've done in the past, which were like bike park videos and rampage content. And it's something that honestly I love doing. So it doesn't feel like a job for me.
Yeah, very cool. I guess, yeah, that's everybody's goal. Everybody wishes they could be doing the same thing. So that's great.
Yeah, no, I've been super stoked on it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time, and good luck to you with your channel and all your competitions in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and see you on the trail.
All right. Well, you can keep up with Rémy on YouTube and also his Instagram, and we'll have links to both of those things in the show notes here. That's all I've got this week. We'll talk to you again next week.